Hello?
Hello, Jughead. This is Archie. Come over right away. It's a matter of life or death.
Oh, relax, Archie.
Attention, all true believers. Marvel Comics is on the air.
The friend of the unfortunate, enemy of criminals. In reality, Dan Garrett, a rookie patrolman, loved by everyone but suspected by none of being the Blue Beetle.
Boys and girls, your attention, please. Presenting a new exciting radio program featuring the thrilling adventures of an amazing and incredible personality. Faster than an airplane, more powerful than a locomotive, impervious to bullets.
Up in the sky, look!
It's a bird, it's a plane, it's Superman!
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good
Hello.
evening, everyone. Thanks again for coming on this Thursday evening and hanging out with us here at SketchUp. Hello, let's say hello to Tara, Jay and the Silver Strings, Non Bread, Elliot Garcia, Kenneth Bird. Good to see you again tonight.
Wow.
Thank you all for joining us. Tonight, our special guest is Christopher Meyer and his new project, Vampire Bloodlines. So we'll be talking to him. And Jane Leonard is actually one of his artists, so we'll be seeing her as well. So don't go away. Kick back, grab something to eat and drink, and stay tuned. We'll be right back after this short break. Hello there, everyone. Thanks again for coming on this Thursday. Stevie B, good to see you in the house. Yep. It is windy out here still. We are still getting the Santa Ana winds. And that fire, there's a new fire that started up. I'm not sure how well that's contained. Haven't heard too much about it, so I think it'll be okay. We have taken a friend, one of our friends in who lives pretty close in that area, just so that we can get away from the smoke and everything that's going on there. His place is covered with ash, so not a good environment to be in. And we continue to pray and hope for the people in that area. So if you've got friends out there, give them a holler out here and let them know that you're letting you care for them and hope that they're okay. All right, so tonight we do have giveaways that we will be doing later today. So if you want to get in on the action, put in #EXP Vampire, and that will get you in the running for the cool giveaways that Christopher Meyer will be putting up tonight. And don't forget, hit that follow button and help us to increase our followers as we continue to bring you wonderful content throughout the week, including Nick Barucci's The Original Art Show every Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. So in the house, we have Christopher.
Yeah.
Hello. And we have Jen, who's already started up on, is that a cover?
This is going to be a cover. Chris is authorized, and it is up for bid tonight.
Oh, there you go. And what's that starting at, Jen?
It's going to be starting at $150.
There you go. And Mog? You got
I'm going to do this rogue, but I'm going to color it. And then I'll work on another sketch cover.
Is that Savage Land Rogue?
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. All right. And that's on a metal sketch card.
Yes.
And what are you going to start the bid out on that?
Let's say 50.
Okay, there you go. $50. It's going to get colored, shipped out to you guys, whoever the winning bid is. Okay, tonight. All right, Christopher. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I don't really, I'm sorry, I don't really know too much about you. And let us know how you got into comics and what brought you around to producing your own.
Okay, well, first and foremost, how I got all started here, I actually was, I'll just go a little bit about myself. I am from North Dakota, where we just had some pretty good wind and snow and cold, so we just gotten through all that. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, so hopefully I don't screw up too badly. But myself, I grew up in a small town. As you can see by my size, I actually did play football, college football, until my back gave way. So then I started coaching, and then after my years coaching, I worked at a Native American boarding school for 15 years before I decided to move on, work into a mental health facility. And during my time between where I was working at the boarding school and the mental health facility, I was busy initially writing what I was hoping to be a book. Stay down, Pico. That's my cat trying to mess with me. But I was initially, Vampire Bloodlines was initially going to be written as a book. And through my initial outings on it, I ended up talking with an artist, Hayne MS. Met her through DeviantArt, and she initially started making just original pictures that would go with it. So it kind of started going into more of a picture book. And then when I kept going through that route years later, was introduced to, I'm going to say right now, I can't pronounce her full name for the life of me. She just lets me call her Avi, my artist, the one that does pages, the ones that does my main covers and everything. She's out in Poland. She's one of the greatest. We worked together for, I want to say, at least since I might be wrong in the year, but I think it's 2017. And it didn't come out to where I started doing making it into a comic book until just as COVID was starting to hit, and then 2020, because I ended up, I don't know if any of you guys know, but I got very lucky with, I'm also a trading card game player, and I play Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, I ended up pulling a card that was a sought-after card that was worth a couple of grand, and I sold that and used that to fund my first issue of Vampire Bloodlines. So that's what ended up paying to get that issue up and going. So, and ever since then, it's just
when was that
have come and helped back me and getting through to this new adventure, meeting new friends. Jen. Amazing. Tara, my editor, who I've known for years, who's I'm assuming she's in the chat, so she may have some words she may throw in the chat, but she's absolutely awesome to me. I mean, the team I've got has just been great, and the adventures that I've had so far in the comic world has been nothing but amazing. I met nothing but nice people and people who have taken me under their wing to help out, whether it comes to artists, Tara, my editor, even the cosplay models like Ivy Cosplay, Faces by Rachel Holland, Kara Nicole, Arizona Power Girl. I mean, she's been a huge
easy girl
under her ring to try to help me out. So I've had a lot of people that have been just amazing for me. And hi, Tara.
Chris, I have a question. How you said you started writing, you're working at a hospital or something?
I'm currently now I'm at a mental health facility.
Yeah. When you started, and you said you just started writing, initially it was like a book. You weren't even thinking, oh, I'm going to make this into a comic book, right? I'm just curious, because there's so many people how they write. Were you just texting on the phone, or were you speaking on it, or did you have a device, or did you actually hand write your story? How did you do that? How did you write?
How I initially did it, and it's some of my old stories are up on DeviantArt to this day, where I'm kind of just I go back and look at. But to go back into the question, how I would do it is okay, I get an idea, whether it's at work or music or TV or whatever that helps influence it. and then I would actually sit down at my computer mainly on my day off, and then at that point I would pull up Word and just start typing it out.
Right.
And now when I go into doing my comic books, what I end up doing is I actually write, instead of just writing out word for word, I'm actually writing the script. I send that to Avi, and Avi, who's got an amazing mind for kind of like how I'm looking for what's to be done. She just fills in however she needs to do it to have fun with it and to make it look amazing. And it's just been how I've done things ever since I started, going into the comic realm with my creation.
That's interesting. So 80 was, if I remember correctly, 80 is your penciler, right?
Penciler, the main artist. She colors and everything for the pages.
So she does.
Wow. So now you just like write the dialogue and then she just like fills it in. That's really amazing.
Yeah, the process goes. I'll write it. I'll show Avi the rough draft, and to try to help give her some ideas and information. But while she's also got the rough draft, I call in my editor, who I call my sister. We're not related at all, but she calls me her dearest brother. I call her my beloved sister because we've gotten to be that close. We will sit down for, I don't know, there's times where we've spent like maybe 3-4 nights just going through the script and editing everything that needs to be edited so it actually comes out looking right. So then when it's ready to go, we send that out to Avi, and she just goes to town with the finished script, and it turns out better than I can imagine. A lot of times it's just that great.
That's so cool, because when sometimes we don't have any writers on our show and it's a bunch of comic artists, we talk about how the writer should write. In a way, it's like it's best if the writer just does a lettering himself, just to get an idea how because sometimes the problem is like the authors, they write too much verbiage per page or too much panels, thinking they can cram everything in with the pictures and stuff. But the way you're doing it is like you giving almost like half the control to the AB, you said. So yeah, that's really cool. I'm wondering if there was like a learning curve. Your journey, what was your learning curve?
That's going to be the kind of question I was going to head into.
I'm going to tell you right now,
how'd you get into that
learning curve? Tara,
what did you do to
the writing
prepare?
part aspect has been really helpful, and I'm still learning to this moment because in school in English, I failed. I sucked at it, and yet I got into. I'm literally writing as a hobby, getting my comic book up and going, and I don't even know how that works. My English teacher from my sophomore years kind of like wondering, you tried as hard as you can in English, and here you are writing for a comic book that you're wanting to have out, and she's amazed.
Wow.
So,
did you do any research or preparation for your project?
I've done some research. Yes, I've always grown up liking the realm of the supernatural. Mm-hmm. So you look at, vampires. I can throw into their supernatural, lycans or werewolves, depending upon how you want to put it. A lot of some of the demonologies, the myths that go around with them, even the mythologies of Greek gods and Egyptian gods. That's always captured my attention. So with my project here, with what the universe that I've got called Bridgeport Chronicles, right now it explores more with the vampire side of it. Well, I still have, in one of the scripts that I've written, not to try to spoil it, I do have lycans eventually getting introduced to it. I'm calling them lycans because of I believe because of the transform part of it, and also with some of the influences, Underworld being one of them that I've taken influence from. I'm using that terminology. It's where I get my ideas and researches from is what getting those done, and then actually going into the mythologies with it as well. So, and just some of those mythologies and legends, there's some interpretations that are different here. So just to create my own universe, I'll take bits and pieces from it. So say, again, with going into my vampires, one of the big things that I have as kind of a difference, how a cross is supposed to repel a vampire. Well, I don't really have it going in that raised sword, because there's sometimes where the cross don't do nothing.
Yeah.
My vampires have the ability to hypnotize or glamour humans, but if they've got like the crucifix, the cross with them on them, it acts like a barrier, so they can't be glamored into whatever the vampire wants to do. That's just one example. Holy water does nothing to the vampire, but if the human is glamored, it will break the glamour of the vampire. It's going to end up hurting a lot. And then that aspect that I took from that was a little bit of I don't know if you guys have heard of the Anita Blake series.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that idea from Laurel K. Hamilton, because I thought that was a great thing that what holy water could do, because I think that was original on her end, and I liked it. So I took a little bit from that as well. And my influences, when you look at my books and read them, you can tell the whole different influences that I've taken from the research that I've had, and that's how I've come up with my story. And I try to make it as original as possible without making it seem like I've taken a little bit of here and there and here and there. So I try to hope I do a good job in that aspect. So,
well, yeah, we've brought in a lot of creatives for we're going on like getting close to our 100th episode, and a lot of the people that come on here is mainly horror-based stories, and even if we're not even a lot of times the topics that we talk about tend to go towards like supernatural, even as far as like ancient aliens kind of thing. So it's kind of interesting that you're as well doing the same thing. So what is it about your characters and your story you think is going to stand out from the rest?
Well, I try.
Who is your main character? Let's start there.
Yeah.
My main character, her name is Bianca Bordeaux. As you can see, Jen, that's who she's drawing for the cover on there. She
Bianca?
She is within the Bridgeport Chronicles. They're in the city of Bridgeport, and she's the vampire queen of Bridgeport. She's also responsible for bringing vampires out to the public eye.
Oh, okay.
So right now, vampires have just come out, and they're known to the world.
All right, I'm gonna ask a really dumb question because I'm not from here. Okay, so is Bridgeport like a real city in America?
It is. But the funny part is I never knew it until one of my high school friends pointed out, because I thought the town was supposed to be original.
Yeah.
She told me, "Hey, Bridgeport, that's a nice city." I'm like, "What?"
You didn't know?
Yeah, it's a city in Connecticut. So I'm sitting here like, okay, I got to go figure this out. And I'm like, well, so much for trying to be fictional.
Oh, you actually were originally thinking this is like a parallel world type of thing. It's not really America per se.
What's a white Bridgeport?
It's in America, but it's kind of like Metropolis, if you think of it, or Gotham City.
Okay.
That's kind of how it's going.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So why Bridgeport?
Exactly. That's a cool name, though.
That's honestly, I was one day just driving around in my town, just crossing the bridge, and I thought about a bridge at that time, but then I was also thinking, I kind of want this close to an ocean, so that's where I get the port from. So I just put those two together, and I just nothing really too too extravagant. It was just all pretty simple, and I try to keep things simple with some of the stuff that I do. Although I think my editor Tara may say I may try to go a little bit too far in some things.
Yeah, so Tara writes that she's been writing stories with you for a long time now, and the mythos in your books is growing. There have been hints in the background over the series, which will lead to something in the future, right? So you've got a big plan there,
right?
Headed into the book. And then our producer Kyle writes, Bridgeport, Connecticut wouldn't shock me if it had vampires in real life.
I heard the same thing.
So,
from all the way up in Connecticut, yeah.
Am I the only person here who's been to Bridgeport?
Huh?
I've never been there, so I can I can only say to that.
What's it like?
Do you guys know the
Dark and
town
gloomy.
from WandaVision? Before they figure out that Wanda is controlling the town with her mind, like at the very beginning of WandaVision,
Yeah.
that's Bridgeport, Connecticut.
What?
It's like the Stepford Wives or any Hallmark movie. It's like it feels like a fictitious place. And Wanda, it's a nice town, a lot of historical stuff, but like super weird.
There's an eeriness about that town.
You got me now thinking of the movie that Nicole Kidman was in, and it was initially black and white, but then as soon as things changed, it turned color. What's the name of that movie? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
That sounds like Pleasantville, but it's not.
Pleasantville, yeah.
Was Nicole Kidman there?
That wasn't Nicole Kidman, though, was it? That was
I thought Nicole Kidman was in that.
What's that? Her name?
Reese Witherspoon.
So Alicia Silverstone.
Reese Witherspoon. I actually liked that movie. That was a great.
I love that movie.
Storytelling, the way how they did that too. Yeah.
Good theme, really good theme.
Yeah.
I allow me to mention something here on Tara, though. While she's been helping me for years, she's got her own website and she's done her own writing beyond the time that I've been with her. So that's helped me out greatly, and I've always been very appreciative of my beloved sister.
Oh.
Okay. So Tara writes comic books as well?
No, I think hers is more or less just in the terms of short stories, and I think she can probably either confirm or deny that in chat. She has some amazing stories on her website, and she does more than just stories. She also does reviews, and it's based on succubi.
Ah.
So it's and she's got a really fun take on them too, which is quite a lot of fun, interesting reads that she posts up like once. I believe her span is like once a week that she posts stuff up for her stories, and they're great. So I would suggest if you have a little bit of time, go check that out for her.
You know, I was just suddenly thinking because you mentioned that, Chris, how in different cultures, like they're same kind of monsters or whatever, mythical creatures, but they interpret it slightly different. Mm-hmm. And that's why you were talking about the cross and the holy water reference. Mm-hmm. And it made me suddenly think, like for us in the Far East, like, you know, talking about like Far East area, for us, I was thinking, do we really have werewolves or whatever, like, you know, were animals? But what we do have is something similar where the animals take on a godly attribute, so they can make themselves human and mingle with humans. So we got the tiger gods, you know, the nine-tailed fox, all of that.
Yep.
And for them, they eat something like kind of like a succubus, where they share like a bed with you, like a night, intimate night, but then they suck your life force.
Soul.
You know,
life force or soul.
No, not the soul, just a little bit. They just suck it and then eat it, and then you're still alive. I mean, but if they want to, you know, suck you dry, that's up to them. But usually they just take a bit, go, take a bit, and go. But for us, it's not like a demonic thing. They're like a deified thing, because it's like they work so hard to get to that level of godly divine powers. Mm-hmm. They don't just get it. Usually we only give that attribute to them if they live at least like 100 or 200, 300 years doing good deeds. And then they earn these abilities like in levels, step by step. That's why there's 9 tails, specifically in foxes. It's not like they get 9 tails right away. They get 2, 3, 4, and if it's 9, it's like the ultimate level of enlightenment almost. So for us, it's like they're not a demonic creature at all.
Mhm.
But on the other hand, the vampires, we consider them very demonic thing. I mean, we need to just kill them. But,
And that plays a part in my story because there, I have it where there's a group of people that just want them dead, and then there's others that have welcomed them with open arms because Bianca herself is wanting peace between humans and vampires to live peacefully and not looking to take over, just live like normal lives while being able to contribute to society without really going into messing it up. And one of her contributions that she's doing within that world is, okay, yeah, you're still going to need human blood, but she's going to make in her city, she's making it where you have to have consent to do it. And she's also funded and been working on a synthetic blood that not only helps supply the blood banks, but she's also, that same synthetic blood is supposed to help feed the vampire population.
Now, in your story, who is the antagonist, or do you have one that you've brought out already?
The antagonist, and this will actually go into the tie-in for the title to the main series. Her name is Lilith Bridgeport. And she was turned against her will. Just a heads up, I recently got back my comic book for Blood of the Night, which goes into her origin more. But she was turned against her will and ended up killing her sire to get her freedom. And she ended up fleeing Bridgeport, and so she traveled the world doing what she wanted to do for her own freedom. As she gets into the more modern setting, she's returning and she's seeing Bianca in her city doing these things, and she's like, "This is my city. How dare you call me queen, even though I've left it?" She came back to Bridgeport, and she's pretty much starting a war with Bianca to try to take back her namesake. So with the name Vampire Bloodlines, the Bloodlines that's the tie-in for the title. People ask me if it's with Vampire the Masquerade. At that point in time, before people were asking me, I had no idea what that was. So if
you never played the game,
the title that I used was essentially from the Sega Genesis game Castlevania Bloodlines.
Yeah.
So I like the Bloodlines name, and with the tie-in with how I was doing everything, I thought Bloodlines would be a great way to try to tie in the whole entire story arc of that story of Bianca and Lilith.
Okay, so is it a big long rivalry between the two, or is this something that's just coming up in your story?
Within the timeline, it will be more of a recent rivalry. Issue 1, Lilith returns, and Bianca, who has a lover and a mate that they were out on a date, had someone that was willing to allow them to, have a pint or two of her blood. Went out to go enjoy the date. Lilith came in and finished her off, and that's how Lilith introduced herself to Bianca. That's where the conflict initially starts.
How old are these characters?
Bianca is over 400 years old, and the lady will never tell her exact age. Lilith is 250. Because I have her at Bridgeport kind of at the same time come together about the United States come to be. So around 250 years, maybe a little more.
Okay, so the you're saying that she's trying to get them to to live with humans, right?
Yes,
so
Bianca.
If that happens, What is she eating? Or where's she getting her supply of blood to live off of?
She's got her connections for the current blood banks, and plus she doesn't claim victims. She goes out and gets donors, and she doesn't like to use the glamour ability, so she will use her charm to have humans willingly offer up the wrist or the neck or whatever for her to maybe get a pint or two from them.
Is that it kind of presents itself a particular situation. It's like you're going up to somebody, if you haven't noticed, I'm a vampire, and I do need to drink.
Can I?
It's not as blunt as that. It's a little bit more subtle within the seduction route that she'll do, but it's I'm coming up. I'm hungry. Give me your neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, do I want to let you rip into my neck to get a pint of blood? Yeah. All right, so you're looking at Jen, and she's got the page upside down, but that's
sorry.
He is working. Hey, no problem. She's working on a cover. Right, so we are looking for an opening bid of $150 on that, and going over to Mog, you see that she's working on a sketch card. It's a metal sketch card. That she can't show you. Flip it around, and it'll have another piece of her arc. Metal.
It's very thick.
There you go. And it's a piece that's called the Guardian, which has a beast in the back. But it's a beautiful metal card, and if you want to bid on that, that is $50, right? So we're going to take a break right now. So when we come back, we'll be talking more with Chris and looking more into the artwork, right? See you in a little.
Boring old Tuesday.
Kick it! Hey, let's get to it.
Henri Copen scours collections and comic shops to bring you the biggest deals on beautiful comics.
I'm very eager to sell these books.
Plus, he smashes those other boring sale shows. Henri's got fire, excitement, personality, key books, FOMO books.
Pixie! FOMO books for ya.
A cute dog. Weird accents.
69, bro!
A wheel of skid bark?
They do wheel spins at the end of every show.
You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll score huge bargains.
That is Haktua magic right there, all right?
Kicking it with Henri. Tuesday nights, part of the experience.
Twitch, it's not just what happens when you have too many energy drinks anymore. Check out our content over there, too.
Ask your local comic shop to add Battle Quest comics to your pull list today. FOC, a comic industry term for the final day a new comic can be ordered by a local comic shop. So, what does that mean to you? Well, it's your last chance to order a new comic book from your local comic shop. Order up! The FOC show will go over every book that's about to be cut off every Friday afternoon.
I'm going to highlight some of the stuff that I think is really worth paying attention to,
so that you can put in an order at your LCS for as many copies or as many variant covers as you want.
Sometimes the store needs to know to up their orders.
Never miss out on a popular comic again. Order up, part of the experience.
Welcome back to SketchUp. This is with Mog and Mel. We have Christopher Meyer with us and Jen Leonard working the auction board. Okay, so don't forget again, hit that follow button and help us to increase our followers so we can continue to give you wonderful shows like Nick Garucci's original art show every Fridays at 7 p.m. and Catherine Matthias Lewis's at 1 p.m. The FOC show.
Just a note, programming note. Nick is off tomorrow as he continues to sort out the Michigas around the diamond announcement a couple weeks ago. So he will be taking another week off to get things sorted, but he will be back next week with a bunch of stuff he's never shown before on the show. So
there you go.
Just a heads up for
everyone.
everyone.
Nick, he stocked it deep to sell it cheap. So check him out when he comes back next week. Okay, welcome into the house, everyone. Glad to see you. I'll be reaching out to you later to get you back on here. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, don't forget to put in # EXP Vampire. That'll get you qualified for our free giveaways today, including an Ivy print. Is that correct?
Yes, Ivy has autographed a print. It's coming to me in the mail. I believe you have a copy of what the print will look like if you're able to show it.
Right. No, I won't be able to show it. But
okay, that's fair enough. But I can actually
hot. Okay.
Right.
But we will give that. We will give that away.
Fair enough. But I do also have something else I'm giving away
let's
too,
see
and
what
that's
else you got that you're going to be giving away. Let's go ahead and show those.
This is.
Whoa.
And I'll go into how this came to be, but this is a compilation book from issues 1 through 5 with the cover that was done by one of the alternate covers that was done by Jen herself.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's compilations of issues 1 through 5, and just so people know why that one's smaller compared to, say, like what I've got now, where I've gotten to the regular size. This is Blood of the Night with Ivy.
Okay.
Ivy on the cover, and another model, Mo. They were gracious enough to be on that with me, be that for me. The story goes with how we got to essentially it's a manga size. Me being green, not really knowing very well especially when it comes to printing. When Ivy was making the pages, we went to one printer and they were telling me through a message to say, hey, we can't make this into a normal comic book size. Why don't we go to the manga size? And that's where we started off. So once I got through the first 5, I was like, some of the people are saying, yeah, they like the manga size, but it's a little bit too small for seeing some of the words especially my supporters here that are around me and and friends of the family that have been helping support. So it got me to thinking, talk to Ivy, let's figure out what we need to do to make it into the regular comic size, which I just showed, which we are focusing on now, making it into the normal, making our stuff to be normal comic sizes, which eventually for the previous issues, I would like to try to, and Avy's all in for it too, trying to figure out when she can get time to do it, make the previous pages and expand them to where they can work for an actual comic book size, so we can maybe do that as an all-in-one and just get it out to people that way. So it makes things easier for people to.
Have you got a printer now that you can go to?
Yes, I've been going to a printer that Jen has recommended me to, and he's been absolutely great to me, honestly. And ever since then, I've been continuing to go on, working with them.
Okay, cool, nice.
So, go ahead.
So you are launching this project, your next one, your next installment. When are you launching this?
Right now, the script is in Avy's hands. So my hope to launch the next Kickstarter is going to be, I'm looking at the spring, maybe late March, early April. I want to talk to Keith Garvey again to do a cover. I've got a cover already. If people that have seen my social medias, I've got a cover already done by. He's an up and coming artist. Give me a second. It's David Alejandro.
Okay.
If you've seen some of the stuff that I posted, it'll bring you to his great and amazing work that he's done. He's done amazing stuff with Laura Croft, because Tomb Raider has been his big thing. Jen, of course, I'm working with and been working with, and hopefully she still wants to work with me. she's just been that awesome. And then I don't know if the name will ring a bell all that much for some people, but I kind of think they will. Tom Nugent.
Okay.
He's done covers for DC.
Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get a hold of him and have him do another cover, which has been another one of those guys that have been awesome to work with.
Mm-hmm. Is there an artist that you would like to work with, that you'd like to get on your book?
Well, the one that comes to mind, and I just need to be able to have the funds to be able to do it, is Mike DeBalfo. Jen kind of introduced me to him, and I looked at his stuff, and I'm like, this would be awesome to have him do, but I right now can't afford to have him do it just because his quality is just amazing. It'd be amazing to see him do Bianca for a cover. It's just it just comes down right to it, just being able to pay him to do it. You know, that's the part I'm hoping to do someday.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, friendly guy. I think his rates are fair. I love the way how he draws faces. He knows how to give them that soft, appealing touch, and they're different from everybody else's one that's out there. So I like that. His composition and layout is pretty good too. He tries to make his figures kind of somewhat dynamic, so that they're not all straight pinup shots. So yeah, I do like that DeBalfo as well.
As for just trying to think of other artists right off the top of my head,
I think you need to get Mog on one.
There's
I will say this: if she's still in here, Mog, there was a couple months ago when you did a Morgan Onslaught. I won that auction. I sent that to Tara, and I think she can confirm to me that.
Okay, I remember
amazing,
that now.
and she liked it. So if she's still in chat, she can confirm that if she wants to. But I looked at it when I did that auction. I'm like, yeah, I bet you Tara would like this. So got it for her and sent it up to her in Canada.
What? That is amazing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You won the auction? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I remember that he came on, and Jen was saying, "Hey, that's Christopher Meyer from Bridgeport." I said, "Oh, okay, yeah." So I do kind of remember that. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Thank you for very much.
Wow.
Stevie V writes, Christoph, have you read Cross, a graphic novel about vampire set during the American Civil War? It's by the classic team of John Ostrander and Tom Mandrake. Yeah, that's a good one right there.
The Civil War. No, I haven't. I have the one that I can't think of it because I still have it in my car, and honestly, it was good. It was about vampires in the fighting for America in the World War II.
I kind of remember a story like that.
It was a very interesting one, to say the least. So I thought it was done very well. The art was nice and neat, and it came in a nice big book stack. So I read it, and I personally enjoyed it. So I wish I didn't leave that in my car at the moment because I'd be able to pull that out and say, "Oh, this is what the name is. This is the one that created it." I really, put it this way: if I could forget my head, if it wasn't attached, I probably would.
Wow. Actually, oh, go ahead, Jen.
I was gonna say, Chris, I think you forgot to mention your art book you're working on too. Wasn't that supposed to be one of the next ones?
Yeah, my plan. I am planning on putting together an art book with unreleased art throughout the time that I've experimented in this world and decided, some of this artwork that I really like and it's been from maybe longer than 10 years out. Probably put it together, put some new stuff with it, and give the artists recognition for what they've done. Like one of them again, Hain MS, which is what you had on DeviantArt. However, she goes now by Hain Potato on some of her social medias, as well as I think she still streams on Twitch as more of a gaming streamer than anything. Her sister is Sonia MS, and I've had her do a piece for me. A little too risque to show on stream here, but it's her and her sister. They both have. I like to think it's different styles, but they're both amazing. I think I wanted to work with Sonia again here, but she's been locked up contractually with other producers and comics and stuff that I really haven't been able to get her to do a piece for me again. That's one I would like to get it to do something again, and I would love to get like Jen said, Mog to do something for me at some point. Just gotta sit down and get a chance to talk when I'm up one of the days that I'm working overnights.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a bunch of artists that come on here that would probably be good for you. Like John Sisman is one of our regulars. He'd probably be good for your book as well. Yeah, and let's see, who else do we have? KC Grande, we haven't had him in a while, but that's another guy that might be worth looking into. But I think he'll be back here in May, right?
Okay.
And then
I'll have to sure check that one out then.
Yeah, and then next month I have, if you guys haven't heard, next month I have Chris Enot and Bobby Breed. They'll be on separate shows, but those are two guys that have a good, strong fan following as well. And their style would easily fit your book as well too. So those are guys are both looking into.
And I would like to say this when it comes to any of the artists that I commissioned, and Jen can attest to this. I may give a very light detail of what I'm expecting, and I just let the artist play with it. I let them go to town. And right now, what you're seeing there, I okayed it. That's all Jen's idea.
Wow.
Yeah,
absolutely love it. It's all her idea.
Creative freedom.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of artists like that.
He is by far one of the easiest publishers to work with.
Gosh.
Nice.
He'll spoil you too.
I believe you now because an artist actually said it, not a writer. So.
Yep.
Sometimes writers, they say, "Oh, yeah, I give them free reign. I'm very blah blah," and then you hear the artist version, and it's like, "Oh, it's different." So never mind.
You can attest to this, Mog.
Business, I can understand why you have those reservations there, Mog. I can totally get that.
Oh, really? How come?
You've been in it longer than I have.
Oh.
I haven't, so I haven't really seen all what you have seen or what has Janet seen. So I think that the longest I've been in this is really 5 years.
You said you were in sports, you
Yes.
know, and that's fascinating because I find it interesting how many people who do physical things as part of their job, well, military or sports, they actually really enjoy art. and creative things. It's not what I had in mind, but that was fascinating to me.
Well, I think
Unless, were you the only oddball who liked art, or?
During my days in high school and college when I was doing all that stuff, I was mainly an introvert and really felt like an outcast with some of the things that I liked. So I really didn't take the time to share them with people. So the fact that I enjoyed comics, like my favorites have been Batman and the X-Men, I really didn't share that all that much with them just because it didn't connect with anybody that especially with the teammates of the teams that I was playing teams I was playing for. So, it was mainly pay attention to what I was doing for football, studying up on the plays, studying up on the other team, and making sure that I'm in the right position where I need to be. That's the one thing I learned in college is where, high school is fun and everything, but college is a whole different story. The speed of the game is faster. There's more details in how the game is played, and eventually, because of what I learned there, I ended up coaching at least 3 years of college football and got a conference championship out of it with one team.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I think it's similar because, like, I keep talking to my artist friend. I would say, I think sportsmen and artists, they're almost similar. You kind of have to be a bit introverted in a way because you're mastering a skill. And to master a skill, you need that, like, just alone, or you need to just focus on that for a long duration of time. And it's very arduous, and it's very, you can easily fall off the wagon, so to speak, because you can get distracted or whatever. It's really about focus and discipline. And the more you put that time in, the more you end up becoming better at your skill. So I'm wondering, is it similar in, like, when you were coaching in the sports, the people who do pretty well is actually more of the introverted guys, or what is it? I don't know. I mean, am I just being biased here?
No, you got your fair share of. I wouldn't call them introvert per se, although they themselves that have had me as their coach probably may say that they are or not. I looked at them as, that they were always coachable, whether the part where they're either being, I'll just go with the blunt words of it, either they're humble or they're cocky.
Oh,
because in college, a lot of my experience, whether I was a player or as a coach, is kids coming out of high school were literally just talking about how big of a deal they were in high school, and I'm sitting here like, college is a whole different ball of wax, and you just jumped into the middle of Pandora's box just trying to figure out where you're at in the world when it comes to college football.
That makes sense. It's about ego, huh?
For a lot of them, it is, but then there's those that, they don't care about their ego. They more or less put that to the side, and they make what the sacrifice is to make the team better, to get them shots at, division titles, conference titles, national titles. I mean, you look at how many people made those sacrifices throughout the years.
Wow.
Mog is not aware.
I'm not aware.
History of football and how big college football can be.
Well, and I gotta tell you right now, there are certain states and with certain people, you don't agree with them, they will wish you harm.
Really?
I ran into that a couple of different times this season with the Vikings, where I'll be honest, I don't care for the head coach at all. I think I'll just say it as is. I think he's overrated. That's my opinion, but people don't like my opinion, and I've had a couple of different people respond to me making threats of harm to me, and I'm just like, really?
I was reading about.
Have you incorporated any of your any sports into your stories?
Yes, Blood of the Night has got a little bit in the beginning. It's got a football aspect into it right at the beginning. Lilith, Glamour's star quarterback there, and he becomes a victim of hers.
Oh, so you do have was it like a football player vampire?
Nope, he ain't gonna be turned.
Oh, he's not gonna be
He is
turned.
food.
What's his personality? Is it ego? Does he have ego?
For the football player, honestly, he does got an ego to him. But the thing is Lilith's got more of an ego, and she's more controlling, and she's making a statement by taking him as a victim.
Do you have sisters?
Actual sisters? No, I got one younger brother, and then I got 2 nephews.
Because you put main characters as women, so I was wondering how, like, are you super familiar with all these like women dynamic and stuff, and that's why you're like, oh my god, I grew up with so many sisters, so I got to put up,
No,
with this.
With going into comics, we're trying to get in the woman dynamic. I have my favorites with the guys with like Batman and Wolverine.
Yeah.
But a lot of my favorites were the females because they, other than the typical BAs that are Batman and Wolverine, you have more character development with like a Storm or a Rogue or even Jean Grey with her being possessed with the Phoenix Force. There was a lot more into me. There was personality that you're able to pull out with their core character strengths as well as whatever physical strengths that they had themselves. So that's why I'm kind of more drawn to the female lead. That doesn't mean I don't have plans for a male lead, because I absolutely do when I do have something in store with Bianca's mate. His name is Nathan. I do have something where he's going to be center stage for his own story arc. It's going to be probably a small one, but he's still going to be the center stage for it.
It's just that, when I was thinking, I'm just imagining right now, if I'm going to start a story right now, and it's going to be about a football champion, like college football guy, right? Then I would immediately get pressure because, I'm thinking I have to think like this guy, and it's something totally not kind of like in my skin type of thing. So I was wondering, like for you, when you were doing the main girl as the main character, were you kind of like, oh, like how do I model her? Like I don't know how she thinks or how she's gonna react. Did you kind of like collide into those kind of obstacles, or it was natural for you?
There was some collision, but not much. When it came down to it, after I had shown Tara one of my stories that I figured would pique her interest, that's when we really got together and connected and bonded and worked together on things. And that, because of her, that's helped me more understand the dynamic within trying to get it with a female character's head.
Yeah.
That doesn't, by no means am I anywhere close to really truly understanding what a female, because I don't know from that aspect, but because of her help, it's helped me out with the character development that I want to have. And she's even kind of said, this isn't going to work. Why don't you try X, Y, and Z here instead of doing A, B, and C? And
that sounds amazing.
Yeah. It just comes down to really, if I have some kind of an issue, I go to my team to try to help me out and guide me the best they can to try to help me understand characters. I usually go to, Tara. That's the big one. She's been quite crucial for my help and development with my stories and comics and just character development in general.
Wow. That's I almost wish like
She's just that good.
Yeah, I almost wish Tara was here talking here.
Yeah, she's
Yeah. Not that you're not amazing, but
no,
the way you paint her is like
right. I wish so too, but I know what. Yeah, I see that she says it's very much a group effort, and
Yeah.
she's absolutely right.
I'm thinking the reason why you end up like learning to quickly and adjust and how to, you said now you just like write the dialogue a little bit, almost like a dialogue on the script, and then send it to AB, and then it's like in between, like a co-group work between Tara, you, and AB to get the final kind of look of the panel.
Yep.
I'm wondering that part of that, like usually like trying to adjust and work and seeing how it goes is partially because you used to be a coach, which is teaching. And teaching really is about reading people and learning like where their skills are and how it fits like a puzzle and how it works together and how you have to constantly, you yourself have to adjust your behavior, right? Almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Did that help? Help, just go into the art world and dealing with people? I'm guessing you use that skill to where you're working also. You constantly adjust yourself.
It's kind of tough with people with mental illness, but when I was with the boarding school that I was working at, it really did help out quite a bit to try to figure out where kids' interests are. And when you're working with, at any given time, anywhere between 120 to 90 kids, because at that point in the boarding school where I was at, it was a dormitory, and we were with kids more than what the teachers were. You have to figure out what'll pique their interest, keep them, because it doesn't take them very long to say, "Oh, we're here, we like it for 20 minutes, now we're going to want to go do something else." So that's where that kind of the experience where I draw upon with that.
Okay.
All right, so we are going to take a little break at this time. So when we come back, we're going to see what Mog is going to be drawing next. Kind of put it out there so you can suggest as to what she's going to draw and how big do you want that to be. Okay, so don't go away. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
FOC, a comic industry term for the final day a new comic can be ordered by a local comic shop. So, what does that mean to you? Well, it's your last chance to order a new comic book from your local comic shop. Order up! The FOC show will go over every book that's about to be cut off every Friday afternoon.
I'm going to highlight some of the stuff that I think is really worth paying attention to,
so that you can put in an order at your LCS for as many copies or as many variant covers as you want.
Sometimes the store needs to know to up their orders.
Never miss out on a popular comic again. Order up, part of the experience. Live from New York. What? Oh, sorry. Live from Cleveland? It's Friday night? It's Friday Night Live! With Nancy McCann. And Ricky. And sometimes Carlos. And featuring boxes and boxes of rare comics. Unique collectibles. Lots of smiles and conversations with new friends. Friday Night Live with Comics Unlimited. Friday night from 9 to 11 on The Experience.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thanks again for joining us on SketchUp on this beautiful, windy Thursday evening. We have Christopher Meyer here. We've been talking about Vampire Bloodlines. Jim Miller is working on one of his next covers for Bridgeport Chronicles Comics. And that bid, we are still looking for an opening bid of $150, while Mog has finished up the metal sketch card of Savage Land Rogue. That too is also looking for an opening bid of $50. Okay. Now, at the end of before the commercial, I was putting it out there as to what you would like Mog to draw and at what size. So, hey, I put in those suggestions. First one that comes in is that's what we'll probably do. Let's see, Tara, there's also Pleasures, the nightclub, which is a focal point for a few plot threads.
What's that?
That's
where a lot of mystery starts.
I'm not going to spoil too much there, but it Pleasures is a nightclub in Bridgeport where there's quite a bit of action that happens there, whether inside the club or outside the nightclub.
Is it owned by Bianca?
No.
Oh.
Bianca does not own it, and neither does Lilith. So neither one of those two own it.
Interesting.
Kind of think of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the TV series, and the Bronze.
I'm kind of laughing because Kyle put in a 24 by 36 Sentinel.
What? Mog can't draw me a whole poster-sized robot? What?
All right, Mog, you've been challenged.
Kyle,
have fun.
I'm temporary deaf right now, so.
I already have one of Mog's Sentinels anyway, so I don't actually need another one.
Oh, you do?
I'm looking at the size.
Poster
She'd have
size.
to go cut the paper for that. By the time she does all that, the show will probably be over. Why don't you do a mini robot? Let's do Galactus on a 7x10 or something like that.
Galactus? I love Galactus.
And just because he's my favorite color, purple.
Is that Galactus pink? I kind of always think he like.
It's a mix of purple and pink.
Yeah.
He's got a bit of a mix.
So what is it that you're like one day in a mental hospital? You're like, okay, I'm struck by this desire to write a vampire story. It's either going to be, in my opinion, you always had a thing for vampires. Like you saw something and it just like struck a chord and you always like nurtured this idea. Or
he said he was into
like it. Like what is it?
You've always been into like the supernatural, right?
Yes,
so
I have.
What was the first thing you saw that was supernatural that just really caught your eye and pulled you in?
That you were like vampire, you know?
If I'm going to be honest, I want to say Francis Coppola's Dracula.
That's a good movie.
I was if I'm going to be honest with myself, I think that was it, where we had an amazing cast there, and it really in a time, you know, Dracula himself is a monster, but then you understand why the monster is the way he is, especially at the beginning part of it.
Yeah, it's very romantic.
For me, it was Christopher Lee's Dracula. Okay. I don't know if you've seen
some
any
good
of
ones. Those are some good ones, and I think he
when his
portrays
eyes would like turn red, and I saw these movies in the theater. When his eyes would turn red, and all the girls would be screaming. I was just smiling up, loving it, eating my popcorn, drinking my soda. Just, wow, this is like really, really cool.
Yeah, but you're like what, 10 years old?
I was 11.
Yeah.
I wasn't even born then, so.
Well, thanks, Chris.
Don't feel bad. There's times where I make myself feel old.
Oh, the fact that I said that I saw the movie in the theater kind of dates me all already, because that's just like a hard thing to see. But I was growing up in Hawaii, and it was on Schofield Barracks, a big army base there, and movies were $1, right? So my dad would like drop me off. Everything was right there. Bowling alley was right there. Ice cream shop, and a theater, right? So I'd just go around everything, and you pop in there, watch the movie for $1, get another popcorn and a soda for another $1. So 2 bits, you're in. And that's where all the kids would hang out Saturday afternoon watching movies.
Which base was this?
Schofield Barracks.
I think I might have had a coworker that was at that base for a little stay, so he might know quite a bit about that too.
Yeah, it's a big base.
Yeah, my coworker was in the military. I believe, if I remember right, it was the Army, and he ended up doing. I think his stint was mainly in Japan, where he was doing. And I could be just getting where he was doing a stint around, but I know he was doing the books for whether it comes to accounts or just the inventory, whether it was weapons or vehicles or whatever, and he was doing that. I think that might have been during the same time, if not maybe earlier than that. So I'll have to ask him about that. That'd be some good stories to get from him.
Yeah. So you mentioned Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, but is there a horror movie or series that that's just at the top of your list?
At the top of my list, honestly, you can't. At the top of them, I have to put the Universal monster movies, where it was Dracula, Frankenstein. I love those ones. The Mummy, the Wolfman. I love those. Growing up, I don't know if you consider them horror, but the kaijus. I grew up a big Godzilla fan.
Oh,
if you're a Godzilla fan now, it's a good time to be alive watching all that Godzilla stuff coming across the screen.
And you look at what the original Godzilla was supposed to represent. It was supposed to be a horror film based within nuclear weapons and what the nuclear material could do, and be the horrors of what it does. And just the whole idea of, one, you have this big giant monster stomping on Tokyo. I was always intrigued by just that aspect alone. When you go more into the Showa era, where it gets kind of kid friendly and more taking with the Monster Mash, where you got the kaiju battles where it was either Godzilla versus Anguirus, which is the first one. You got Kong, the most iconic battle. Mothra or
that was a big thing for me. Like growing up, is I would run home from school just to watch the monster matinee, and it's King Kong and all the other monsters coming on, and I'd be watching that first before I got to my homework. But yeah, those are great to see. So Mike is asking Christopher if you have a website that
I do. BridgeportChronicles.com.
There you go, BridgeportChronicles.com, Mike. I got that in there for you. And if you guys want to check him out, please do so. Give him some love and support. And check out the comics that he's got. And don't forget to put in # EXP Vampire. You'll be getting some freebies from Christopher later on tonight.
Please give some love to Mel, Mog, and Jen too. They deserve it just as much as I do.
Yeah, but Chris, you're the one who deserves it tonight, just for tonight.
Tomorrow night, we'll just throw it out the
window. No, Mog, I have to say, you know how expensive color markers are, right?
Yeah.
This
Okay, let's talk
this is
about
to
this.
give you an example of how much Chris spoils people. He just got
Right.
me a giant 300 marker set for Christmas.
No.
So you guys are going to be seeing some more color work.
Whoa.
Is it the Olo brand?
No, it was the Ahola, I think is how you pronounce it. The
Is it
Hawaiian
Olo?
brand.
Hawaiian one?
think
Is it
so.
Hawaiian one?
Yeah, I can send you the link after the show.
Okay, interesting.
Interesting. Hawaiian people don't even know about that.
Hawaii? Yeah, is it huh?
I've seen a few
They're
people
still
talking
buying
about them.
Copics.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just all Copics over there still.
Yeah, they have one art shop there. Well, they have a couple, but one main art shop that they go to that's called Hawaiian Graphics, close to the university.
Yeah.
And that's where and things there are priced extremely high. But that's where they go to get a lot of their art supplies. Not cheap. And there's Jen's cover. I'm looking for a bit of 150 on that. And that's a steal of a deal for a cover price.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I've gotten a lot of Jen's stuff that she's done covers for me at 150. Oh, that's more than a steal. That's an amazing price, and I've got quite a few of her works that she's done for me framed up, and so one of which that I still to this day call my favorite, and it was back when we first started working together, and it's the one that she wanted to keep for a while, and when it she knows which one I'm talking about, the swimsuit one, where she wanted to keep for as long as she can to try to use, and when it came up for sale, I'm like, nope, it's not going to anybody else. I'm getting it just because of the meaning behind it. It needs to stay with one of us, period.
Wow.
It's also the only piece I've had actual color that I added to it on.
It wasn't a lot of color. It was just, if I remember right, it was just the red for the blood, correct?
It was the blood bag, it was her eyes, and then I added a little splash in the moon too.
Oh yeah, I've got it right here with me. Yep, that's right.
So in your Bridgeport Chronicles, is there any like hot guys?
Nathan is right now the main hot guy that's in there with Bianca. Then those two are mates.
Okay.
I call them mates in my stories.
Yeah.
Bianca herself is bi, while Nathan is straight. So
yeah.
But the thing is that he's he's right now as a supporting character, but as for in terms of the hot guy, he's right now the main one that's out there. I do have a couple of hunters. One of them, which is I would say would be a hot guy in there too.
Nice.
So I do have a diversity in there, quite a bit of diverse cast, honestly.
You know, sometimes it's like so weird, the definition of like super hot, right? Like there's characters who are almost psychopathic, evil guys, and then we all love that guy, you know. I wonder which one would that be. The one thing I can think of is maybe Homelander, you know. An interesting psychopathic character that's like okay, you know. Or maybe like Dexter, I would say, maybe, you know, that kind of weirdly dark kind of person that you just can't help but kind of be drawn to. But I wonder in the comic world, what would that be? I don't know. But yeah.
As of right now, I don't have anybody like that in terms of the male character.
Yeah.
According to Tara, she says, "Oh, there will be a hot guy soon. A rather important one when he appears when it comes to Bianca, at least, and her past."
Ew.
So,
okay.
We have something.
Yeah, I know who she's talking about.
Mm.
I know exactly who she's talking about, and he's had a hand in his creation. Put it that way.
Oh,
looks like
you know what was
in a lot of places.
What intrigued me was
exactly.
You said this part. I think it was either Lilith or something. You said killed she killed her sire.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, like, in vampire myth, if you kill the original, you die as well if you're a vampire, right? But in your case, it's like it didn't. So that was interesting.
The mythos is if it's a master vampire that's killed and got a bunch of underlings, but that doesn't mean that another master couldn't be created. In my world, to me it doesn't make sense. You kill the one that created him, and the other one follows him into the grave. It's like, to me, I get where they're going for it in terms of it being like a kind of a weakness to take the whole thing, like, head off the snake. You kill the head, the body dies.
Yeah.
To me, it didn't make much sense. It's like, okay, these other vampires supposed to be other individualities, and then they got in terms of the servants to their master.
Yeah.
I kind of look at it as, it kind of goes with a little bit within Blood of the Night. It's Lilith wanting her freedom, so the only way to do that is to get rid of the one who sired her and her considered her master. So that's in that aspect. And there's some parts of the vampire mythos that I don't like, where, okay, they stand in front of a mirror and they have no reflection. I'm just like, scientifically, that what they're saying, the reason they don't have a reflection is they have no soul. Scientifically, that doesn't make sense. So it's like, I'm putting that in.
What about outside in the sun?
Put it in where they have a reflection. Sorry.
What about the sunlight?
The original within, you look at way Dracula was written, the sun is really not supposed to have an effect on them other than weakening them, not really bursting them into flames. That came into Nosferatu.
Oh.
The silent film, that's where that originally started. So to me, I thought the sun is a proper weakness where, they can. Well, I don't think if I remember right, the Nosferatu was more or less turned to ash and dust. It wasn't really flame. So, but I have it set up where it's like a quick flash of flames and then they're ash.
Then the Dracula version is even more deadly because it's like less weakness. Yeah, you put him in the sun, so what? I'm a little bit weak.
He still needs to eventually rest in his native soil, which essentially they're coffin with the dirt in it. Or if you look at Francis Ford Coppola, they had the crates with his home native soil, his dirt in it. So that was the way he got his demonic power back, and especially where the knights was enhanced.
It's just better to be a homebody then,
Pretty much.
Yeah, perfect.
That was pretty much his downfall.
Why'd you get out of your home?
It was so much safer back in my home.
It reminds me of the Crude. Remember the animation Crude? The father tells a story.
And Jen is on the auction board. Mike Asbill just put in a 150 bid on that piece. Thank you very much for that, Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Like, see, you venture out, you die. The father always tells a story. And then this little girl went out and died. It's always not.
He thought he could turn into a bat, but he fell and died.
She was
There's a reason why I like to stay underneath my rock.
Yeah, exactly.
I tried shooting bats out of the sky with my slingshot. It's pretty damn hard.
Why would you do that to a poor bat? Jesus Christ.
Okay, first of all, these bats were huge. They're big. They're like the size of a good-sized bird, right? So
we're going to feed your family?
They were kind of like easy targets. They weren't flying very high. They come out as soon as like the sun goes down, and you can still kind of see them. So we would try as kids. We would try to shoot them with our slingshots. Never hit one. But it's kind of weird. It's like after you try to shoot at them, they'd go into this like tumble, right? It's kind of like they try to chase the rock and They're doing like a gymnastic tumble in the sky. So that was like a cool thing to see. Kind of like what do you call that? Like an extra bonus for missing them.
Jim, you said that's your dad?
When he was a kid, my dad used to take socks and fill them up with rocks and throw them at the bats, and they would catch them and cling on to them because they thought it was a prey or something, and it would bring them down every time.
Oh my God! Does Mel remind you of your dad? His personality?
When he starts talking about that, yes.
Wow.
Believe it or not, growing up, my grandfather actually had a bat house outside of the lake place, literally built and stacked high.
Okay, where is this? First of all, what state was this again? I'm sorry.
Minnesota was where it was in.
I know why. Me and Mel, we drove there and camped there that night, and I counted. He got bit 180 times within 15 minutes, and he suffered for 2 months. 3 months trying to overcome the mosquito bites. So I know why your grandpa put the bloody bat house. After I found out about bats, I wanted to have like 5 bat nests in my house, knowing what they could do.
Being on a lake property, that was an easy thing. But I don't ever remember seeing any bats coming in and out of that thing. So. He tried to lure him in, that's for sure.
Yeah, okay, so I was not bit by bats. Those were mosquitoes, right, Monk?
Yeah,
I was kind of confused there for a second. She was saying that was bit by hundreds of them. I'm like, okay, you going by bats that he's been bitten by?
He was bit. We were attacked by mosquitoes, and I never knew that Minnesota is the mosquito state. I didn't know until we both experienced that tragic night at the campsite. And then ever since that, bats were like my hero. Before I used to hate bats, I thought they were creepy, but now they're like the best thing ever created by God. Because when I went to another campsite, I was just sitting on a wooden bench, waiting for Mel to hurry up and make the fire so we can, boil some water. It was twilight, and that's when I think it was Zion. That's when I started to hear the mosquito, and I'm like, oh crap, here it comes! I'm getting attacked. And then suddenly they go shoot, something like this little black thing go whoop by. I'm like, huh? And then it keeps going whoop, whoop, whoop around me, and I found it was bats. The bat was using me as a bait to eat all the mosquitoes around me. And for the first time in my life, without any bug off spray or anything, I was mosquito free that night, naturally protected by bats. So they're the best thing ever. And I bet you that's why your grandpa had those bat nests. So.
Yeah, the bat house, that was essentially what it was for, was the mosquitoes. But it was, I don't remember really seeing any bats going in and out of that thing. I mean, when we had a straight line wind that knocked it down, there was nothing inside of it. It literally wrecked the entire house that was in there, and there was no signs of life in it to begin with.
Oh, that's sad. The grandpa didn't make it.
Like I said, he had tried to lure them in with a place that they can be, but I don't think throughout the time it was ever used by them.
God dang. I found out that they really like tall trees. It has to be like 15 foot tall. So, yeah.
It was, I'm going to say it was between 10 and 15.
Oh, wow. He did try. He
did his fair share of research into that. And he was a iron worker. He actually, I learned this after he had passed away, that he had helped build the Space Needle in Seattle. There's actually a photo of him walking the beams, and you had to be some other kind of brave to be doing that and not have a harness on, period. And he was doing that. And if I remember correctly, he was a riveter.
Okay, so do you have any, then, apart from your amazing grandpa, do you have any advice for people who get avoid mosquitoes, since you live there and you have to live there, Minnesota? What do you do for anti-mosquito for yourself?
Other than off, usually it's going to come down to location. But if you're like at a lake area, fire is always going to keep them away. You get a good fire going, and the smoke will keep a lot of the bugs away.
Wow.
That's usually the big thing.
Okay.
I know from my experience and learnings, if you're looking at, if you're, God forbid, in a survival situation, there's times where, you cover yourself up in mud. That'll keep the mosquitoes away too.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anyone's in a survival.
What happens? What do you do if you get bit? You just like rough it out? Is there a special
myself? I normally rough it out unless it's too bad. Then it's usually just calamine lotion.
Oh, calamine. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's what usually does the trick a little bit, but more times than not, you just have to rough that out.
Yeah.
Mosquitoes are not fun. I totally agree with it.
It also makes sense that you make vampire stories, bloodsuck. You should do this story and you create your own thing where when you get stuck by a vampire, you get this nasty mosquito bite, but it's like 10 times worse and it lasts 10 times longer and it itches like crazy. And you're like, oh God, this hurts so bad and itches.
I might be dating myself here, but any of you guys remember in the 90s? It initially started off as a micro machines type toy called Mighty Max.
No.
Well, they eventually did a cartoon with it, and they did have their own version of a vampire, but it was essentially based off a fly, where it wasn't like fangs biting into it. It was just like biting into the victim. It was like this little hole on their tip of their tongue. They literally would attach their neck and drink that way. And then once she was done, there would just be this big, huge hole sucker mark on the neck. It wasn't, because it was a kid's TV, it wasn't going to show like the big old gaping hole where blood was coming out. It was just a big red mark.
Oh gosh.
So I know I got an actual idea of what you're talking about there because I've seen that cartoon.
Oh God. Okay. You know what? Maybe it makes sense. You shouldn't have male vampires. Maybe vampires should be all female because mosquitoes. Freaking mosquitoes. Only the females bite too. Jesus. Oh God. I hate mosquitoes. I'm sorry.
See, wasn't Carmela the actual first vampire story, or was it Dracula? I don't remember. Because Carmilla was a female. I can't remember which came first.
That
But
would be interesting.
I do know there's a whole.
I think the first female story was first vampire story was actually a female vampire, right?
I'm guessing Mel's shaking his head. I'm guessing he's thinking no, or looking it up, saying no, it was Dracula first. But I do know myth and legends, depending upon where you look, the first woman is considered to be Lilith, and she's usually considered either the mother of all demons or the mother of all vampires. So I suppose that can go into that aspect. I honestly, I used to be good at some of this knowledge stuff. Now, what I like to say when I get kind of flustered and frustrated, I like to bang my head off a wall. Well, I bang my head off a wall too dang much.
Yeah,
that's the whole inside joke with me and Tara. I'll say that, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm getting the pillow out."
I think Steve Vendetta said you should set one of the vampire stories in the northern Canada during cottage season.
Tara,
you must have a lot of mosquitoes.
Tara, we should work on that. You know more about Canada than I would.
What is it? When is cottage season in Canada anyway? I'm guessing it's summer. What's a cottage season? Probably summer, huh?
Yeah, Tara would be able to answer that question more than I could.
People.
I want to say it's summertime too, but And I know she would be able to answer it better than I could.
Hmm.
For us back, at least in Minnesota, we would open up the lake place growing up as a kid when it wasn't. As you see, I'm here, right here now. I'm at the lake places where our folks live. We didn't have the house here. We actually just had one big trailer, and we winterized it, and it was closed for the winter, so we wouldn't really be back here until the spring on weekends, where we would open it back up. So usually it was the summertime where it would be cottage season, at least around here. Now up there, I couldn't answer that question. I would have to defer to Tara's knowledge.
So when you open it up, like, is it like a super massive? You have to do a cleaning.
When we opened it up, we cleaned it beforehand before we shut it down. So then we made that easier. The thing that was always the big worry trying to get things going was the well, trying to get the well going for water.
Like, why does it not? What happens?
It can, being cold and then freezing.
Yep.
So just making sure once everything is up and going, just making sure after the winterizing that you still got water coming in and out and have the well going.
God damn. Are you by any chance like German descendant?
Mainly German, yes.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking is because we used to live in Wisconsin. So when we did a mass, me and Mel, we exited Minnesota and traveled all the way to California on a huge road trip. The first state we hit was Minnesota. So because they're so close by, we noticed in Wisconsin there's a massive German descendant populace. So I was wondering if it's the same as Minnesota.
I think Germans got a good descent in here, but I think it was, because of the Norwegian has got a good stake here too, just because the Viking heritage.
Okay.
Because one of the roads before they renamed it, they actually called it the Viking Trail, where I'm at. So
did it do something and say something like in the beginning of the intro? You worked with Native Americans there?
Yes. Native American boarding school. Yep.
So you were coaching only Native American football players? No, I'm just
no. I was coaching at colleges. One being Valley State University in North Dakota, and the other one was North Dakota State College of Science in Wapton. Those were the two places where I coached. But while I was in I was named it for short. It was science school. I was working there I got a job there at the boarding school working with the kids. So I was coaching and working with kids all at the same time.
Wait, what's the age range in the boarding school then?
Boarding school I was at initially was fifth. No, check that. It was 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then later on, they added 4th and 5th grade in there.
Wow. How did you get that strange job? I didn't know that, first of all, they had a boarding school for only Native Americans. Why? That sounds very strange.
Historically, there's been a lot of Native American boarding schools, and if you look into it, there's been a lot of horror stories, and the one I was at has their own share of them, but they've been working really hard ever since my time there and a little bit before then too, to change the outlook of what the boarding school life was like. The boarding schools back then historically were trying to take the Native Americans out of their homes and then try to culture them to the culture that the Americans want them to be cultured to.
Yeah, like indoctrinate them and change them, right? Yeah.
For lack of a better term, yes. I was trying to dance around it because it's a term that's kind of rough with some people in their minds just because of some of the trauma they've been through, and those that have gone through that trauma, I really feel for. It's rough. And during my time working there, I'll say this. Well, I'll jump off subject a little bit. Those kids there go through a lot, and to get their respect, me being white, is really tough because they see that and they like, okay, you were holding me down, and it was not.
Yeah.
It was never that way for me. I had to work really hard to get their respect, and how I was treating them fairly and holding them accountable, because where we were getting the kids from, a lot of those were not coming from great places on the reservation. A lot of them were coming from gang lives out there, and
wow,
even worse. There may be some that were good parents that were sending their kids to the boarding school there, and they were, they were good. They had good experiences, and they wanted their kids to have that good experience.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of others that weren't that fortunate.
Man, that must have been so weird. You're right. Being just like a white male on top of that, working for the boarding school for for Native Americans, that must have been pretty tough. Also for them too, but yeah.
Oh yeah, it ended up being where you needed to earn their respect, and the only way you're to earn that is really essentially when I tell people that would start new there is like, if you don't have thick skin, you better grow it real fast, because every dirty name in the book, and they may even spit or hit you. So you just can't take anything they do personally. You can still hold them accountable, but you don't take it personally.
Oh my gosh, you must be a very patient man.
I would like to think so, but sometimes I prove myself wrong on that aspect.
Oh, yeah. Mad respect.
Yeah, I'll say this: I try to incorporate within my comics. I try to take a little bit of my experience and throw it in there, but I don't want to put too much into there, just because it may not fit well into the story itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right now, the main aspect, what I tell people, what I do with my stories is the side part of the story is essentially the idea with X-Men, where you have the mutants and humans, but that's not the part of it. It's just like a side part that's going on, that's happening. It's going to be the conflict between the vampires that are in there with each other, or the hunters and the vampires at the same at that moment. So I try to focus more on that, while the side part is that's going on, and that's where I think I get a little bit of that influence there too, is that building of respect that I did with the kids at that boarding school that I did, and trying to incorporate, okay, this is how you go about it, that you can get that respect.
It seems like your story, it seems like you took away a kind of unnecessary, like fluffy type of myths about vampires, and you just kind of chose some of the practical good ones. So I'm guessing it's very difficult to kill a vampire in your story. Is it just the usual stake in the heart and then cut the head off and then burn the body? Like, I don't know.
Okay. Let me go into some of the influences and I can explain some of the weaknesses there. The influences I get from it is Underworld, Blade, Castlevania, Laurel K. Hamilton stuff, True Blood. Those are some of my. Actually, Chloe Neal is also another one. She did the Chicagolands Vampire series of books. And I kind of took influence from all that. Now, in terms of how a vampire is killed, beheading is one. Yes, Sun is another. Stake in the Heart. Yes, that is one. But I also got the idea from Blade with the silver allergy, where silver is a weakness and can actually kill. My main vampire hunter, Victoria, her katana blade is made of silver, just like Bianca's in her when she's in her battle suit. She's got a katana with her, then her blade is made of silver. So the vampire, so long as they're not, the hilt is not going to have the silver on it. It's going to be the blade part of it. So long as the blade's not touching her flesh, it's not going to burn. I think in one of the promo photos that I sent, he had the Victoria putting the sword that was going into just around the shoulder area of Bianca, and what you can see there is, you got the blood, you got the blade in there, but then there's also a little bit of smoke that's sizzling. So that's the burning sensation that's happening with the silver.
Because usually silver they use for like lichens or something like that, myth wise, but that's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Let's it is 8:45 now, so let's commence with the giveaways. What's the first item that you want to give away, Chris?
Well, how about we give away a regular compilation book that I've got here. I can show this off here.
Okay.
This is just the regular cover that's done by Avi, and who you can see on there is Bianca and Lilith clashing with the swords.
All right. So if we can go ahead and roll for that, Kyle, are you ready for that? Here we go. And if you haven't yet, put in # EXP Vampire. That'll get you in the running for more giveaways later on, coming right after this one. Kenneth Bird gets that one. Well, that guy has been winning a lot of stuff.
Kenneth is ineligible, having recently won, so we're redrawing for that.
Okay.
Philip. So Philip is the real winner. Philip. Congrats.
Okay, and then did you have something else? I know
yes,
I've got.
I was going to give away the Gen cover one here.
Okay, here's one for the Gen cover.
The Gen cover.
That's the compilation one. Let's go ahead and do that.
That's another compilation one.
Let's roll that again.
That's me. Don't do it.
You send me the details. I'll just send you one regardless. How's that sound?
Okay, thank you. Yay, congrats.
Okay. All right, and then we've got the print, which I won't show. Okay, but trust me.
Just know that Ivy has signed it, and when I get it, I will send it directly out to you.
It'll be signed. It's nice. You're gonna love it. Whoever the winner is, let's go ahead and roll for that.
All right.
He wins.
Yay, Kyle, you win.
There we go.
DVB. Congrats.
All right. So congratulations, everyone. Normally, I would say go ahead and make sure you fill out that form, but I believe I have everybody's information already. So with that, we've got like a few more minutes. So if you haven't yet, you still have a chance to go ahead and place a bid on the artwork here tonight. We are looking for an opening bid on Mog's Savage Land Rogue. Looking for just $50 on that metal sketch cover. The cover that Jen is working on already has a bid from Mike Asbel at $150. So we're looking at at least $155 for the next one on that. Mog started a Galactus. That is what size is that, Mog?
This is a roughly, like let's say 6 by 9, I think.
6x9. Okay.
Roughly.
And just because it's Galactus, we'll start that out at 100.
Oh, actually,
Allow me to
7x10.
say that Savage Land Rogue is also sitting at a steal at $50. That looks
It
awesome.
is. And like we tell all these guys all the time, the bids, the prices that we put on here is much lower than what we would do outside the show. And if you go around to like some of the other
Metal
sites where we
card
sell stuff, you'll see that the prices do sell higher. Like what was that other card that we had here? The Psylocke card, the VOA card.
Yeah.
That actually, I think on here we were asking for 75. Okay.
Mhm.
But it actually sold for 125, so that's no longer available, right? So that kind of gives you an idea that you're getting like 40% below what we normally sell things here for.
Show special.
And Stevie B puts a bid on gins and pushes it to 155. Thanks you for that.
Stevie B says, "Let me in."
Yes.
He's got a big collection of our artwork going in there. Okay.
He's gonna love that Ivy too, because he said that he actually just got the Ivy Vampirella cover. So
Oh
he's
yeah,
gonna be
I've
excited.
got that too, and that's amazing.
All right, so
Well,
Stevie
with
B
Jin's
has
work, it's so quality, so that's like a total steal, amazing price.
well, for a cover. That's
I
extremely low.
love working with Jen. She's just absolutely the bomb, and her artwork just keeps getting better and better as she draws new stuff.
Yeah, well, Mike doesn't want to let it go because he just pushed it to 175.
Yeah.
Got 4 minutes
Thank
left
you.
here. Still pretty cheap.
That's
It's still
really
steal.
cheap. Because
It's
that
still
size is what, like 11 by 17, right?
This is 11 by 17.
That's incredible.
That's a big steal by 11 for
Yeah.
11 by 17.
And yeah, it's still got a long ways to go too, so I'll be up tonight working on it.
Okay.
My gosh. Guys, did you hear that? She's gonna stay up like what is it? This is like close to 12 a.m. now, her place. Aren't you
Yeah,
3 hours
11 a.m.
ahead?
to me.
Yeah, right?
Or I should say 11 p.m., not 11 a.m.
She's gonna burn the midnight oil. Exactly, she's gonna burn the midnight oil. And thank you, Chris, for burning the midnight oil. I'm really appreciate that you guys are in the show here.
I am very grateful
Thank
that you
you.
had me here on the show here tonight. And, if it comes down to it, I would love to be on here again with you guys. You guys are absolutely
Really?
awesome.
Yeah.
I am very grateful for being on the show.
We were nervous that you might feel
no problem
uncomfortable.
with that because like next week we have Grant Lankard. He's going to be with us, and that's going to be his third time coming on here. He's launching a new project very soon.
Nice.
All right. So now February 6th we won't have a show, okay, but then we come back on let's see, February 13th, right, and we have let's see, who is it? It's Bobby Breed. We'll be here with
Chris Enoch.
Chris
You said
Enoch
Chris.
will be the week after. Okay, Chris Enoch will be here with Kurt Zauer and Fung Fung. Kurt and Fung have projects that they're launching, and Fung has also done some artwork for Kurt. And we'll be talking about Roxy Vampire because that's what Mog is working on right now for Kurt. And that's what that whole show is going to be about. Okay.
Nice.
So we'll be talking about another vampire then. But the week before that, it's a new project that Bobby Breed is working on with, God, I forgot his name now, Victor Fredericks. And they are talking like a new project that they'll be working on together. Right. So if you don't know who Bobby Breed is, you're going to want to pay attention to this and check out the show because he does some amazing artwork. He's worked for the big boys, and you're going to see some really, really cool stuff with him, right? So we got like 2 minutes left, and bid right now is at 190 with Mike Asbill taking it in. What do you say, Stevie?
Make it
Are you going to bring it
200.
into 200?
So that way Jin can get ready.
You can do it.
Yes, that way Jin can buy her duckling.
Is Fong Fong a vampire? She
I
does
have
work
not
the
gotten
late
back yet.
hours, okay? She gets up late and works late. So.
Yeah.
Oh, Stevie
Oh,
back
and
out.
Stevie B puts $50 on Mog's.
Thank you.
Well, can't sell
I'll
that
do a
for
bit more
that.
work on this girl here. So, thank you, Steve.
Stevie, you're still awesome.
Yeah. In case, Chris, you don't know, Jen actually is really gonna cultivate a duckling. So.
Yep, she's told me about her duck.
Yeah, and I'm like, every time I'm thinking Jing, I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see the duckling. But she did say later on, like when it gets warmer, I think. So
we can get it and have it inside, which is what the plan is. It's going to be an indoor duck.
Oh, you can do
the
it
problem
indoors?
is, yeah, we're just trying to get the setup because they require a lot of they're messy. So I want to make sure to have plenty of stuff around.
I'm just grateful my cat behaved herself instead of trying to get up on something that she should not be getting up on. She's about as old as I've worked at the boarding school and the mental health facility that I work at. So she's a pretty old cat, and yet still thinks she's a spry chicken.
I like that. That's like what? 13, 18 years old? No, it can't be. 15?
Actually, I think she's about 20 years old.
20 years
Well,
old.
it is 8:55 now, so our time is up. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. It was an incredible show. It's
been an honor. Thank you very much.
Our topics.
You were fun.
And don't forget to join us next week. Thanks, Mike, for the $190 bid on Jen's cover, and Stevie B, you got Mog's Savage Land Rogue for $50. And we'll be contacting you guys later tonight, and I'll be reaching out to you as well, Christopher. I'll give you all the information so that way you can get those products out to those winning giveaways. Okay. Thanks again.
I just want
guys.
to say to those winners, I'll try to get them out next week as soon as possible.
Yes.
There you go. And we'll see you guys next week with Grant Lankard. All right. Take care, guys.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.